Hello and welcome back to the channel, welcome back to another video. This one is a free hit draft for Gameweek 34. Now, there will be no team selection video this week, I'm afraid. I'm away the rest of the week, so I won't be able to put together a team selection video. However, I am on free hit this week. I know a lot of other people are on free hit this week, so I thought I'd make a video before I go to break down what I'll be looking at for my free hit team. I'll put a draft on screen as well and talk through that at the end. But we'll talk through the fixtures, we'll talk through players. And in terms of how I'm getting on in Gameweek 33 so far, I'm recording this at half time of Leicester-Liverpool. And I'm on kind of the tiniest little red arrow from 15k to about 16k. So really nothing to worry about so far. Obviously, we've got quite a lot of games still to go. But I thought I'd record this now because I want to get some thoughts out there about my free hit for Game Week 34. Now, I've got the fixtures on screen there. So I'll talk through each fixture and I'll talk through kind of players I'm thinking about or what I think about the fixture, and then we'll get onto a draft that I've put together after that. So, Chelsea-Everton, don't mind the fixture. Everton defended pretty well against Man City this weekend, so I did watch a bit of that game. I think I watched all of that game actually, and Everton just defended really well. City weren't great, but up until the last couple minutes, the last 5 minutes or so, Everton played really well. They looked dangerous on the break. They defended solidly. Chelsea have been pretty bad recently, I'd say. The last kind of 3, 4, 5 weeks, they just haven't been at it at all. Ipswich today, no, not Ipswich today, sorry. The game that they played today, I can't remember who they played, but they weren't great at all. They really weren't great. I'm not sure kind of what went on with them. It was against Fulham. They weren't great. They haven't been great for a while. I'm still tempted by Palmer though. I do think that if anybody's going to come good out of this Chelsea situation, it is Palmer. But so I think I probably will have him in my team. The only other, I would consider Chelsea defenders as well, just because I don't think Everton have got that much going forward. They've got a lot of players fit now. I mean, McNeil, Harrison, Alvarez, all of these guys are pretty good. Doucouré, and Moyes has got on playing all right, especially on the break, which you think would be the case against Chelsea. But I still kind of back Chelsea to keep a clean sheet potentially. They're not, I highly doubt they'll be like top 2 or 3 for clean sheet odds, but they won't be far off. So yeah, Palmer's one guy I'm looking at, and then potentially a defender or two. Brighton West Ham is a good fixture. Now, if you guys have watched my videos before, you know I'm a West Ham fan, so there could be some bias involved here, but we are bad, really bad. So I quite like the idea of looking for Brighton players this week, especially so João Pedro got a red card, meaning that Danny Welbeck will almost certainly be starting up front. With João Pedro out, Welbeck will probably be on penalties. So I think Welbeck is a really nice option this week, especially as quite a lot of people who aren't free hitting this week won't be able to get Danny Welbeck. They'll have João Pedro. They'll be looking at other players like maybe Wolves players or something like that. So I think Danny Welbeck is a great option this week. I also don't mind their defenders. So I don't mind Mitoma actually, not a defender, but I don't mind Mitoma. And then Estupinian is another player that I'd definitely be looking at. West Ham players, I wouldn't go near any of them. Again, maybe that's biased, but I wouldn't go near any of them. Newcastle, Ipswich. You want to triple up on Newcastle 100%. Isak should be a lock in your team. Probably the captaincy option this week. You're then going to want probably one of Barnes or Murphy, depending on Gordon's fitness. Might need to have a listen to Howe and see what he says about all of that, but you're going to want one of Barnes or Murphy, and then you're going to want a defender or a goalkeeper. So really you're looking at Trippier, Shaw, Livramento, probably Livramento out of that lot. Or if you want the goalkeeper, you can go for Nick Pope. But I think there's other teams where they don't have as good a defenders, so you're probably better off just going for Livramento. He's cheap, you know he'll play, and he's pretty attacking. So definitely want 3. Newcastle, Southampton, Fulham. I'm not sure. I don't really think I'd go anywhere near it. Southampton players are obviously just a no-go, but Fulham, I don't know. I just think there's better options to go for this week. I think if you're going to triple up on Newcastle, you're going to have some players from the Wolves game we'll talk about in a second. I just don't think that... You'd think that Southampton is a good fixture, but Southampton were pretty good against West Ham the other day, so I personally don't think I'll be going near any of these Fulham players. Wolves-Leicester, another great fixture. Matthias Cunha is a guy that I will pretty much definitely be going for on free hit. He started today, so there was kind of a little bit of a worry that he didn't start last week when he was first available, but he did just have 5 games out, so didn't have any match fitness as such. So yeah, Cunha looks good now. I think Ait Nouri is another guy that will probably be in my free hit team. I think those two are pretty set. And then midfielders wise, there isn't really a great deal to talk about from Wolves. Striker, you could go for Strand Larsen as well as Cunha, but I think there's too many other good forward options at the moment this week to be going for Strand Larsen. You've got Welbeck, you've got Isak, you've got Cunha. We'll talk about Bournemouth, we'll talk about Forest as well. So I just don't think that I'd be going Strand Larsen. You could also go for Jose Sarr as a goalkeeper or other defenders like Semedo, Agbadu, etc. But yeah, Ait Nouri and Cunha will be ones that will probably be on my free hit. Then we get on to Bournemouth Man United. I like this fixture for Bournemouth. I think this is the perfect fixture for Bournemouth. The problem is it's just tough to fit Bournemouth players in when you've got 2 or 3 Wolves, you've got a couple Brighton, you've got 3 Newcastle. It's just really tough to fit Bournemouth players in. If you're going to go for them though, Kirkes, if you want a defender, of course, and then Semenyo, Kluivert, they're the 2 to go for. Then you've got Liverpool against Spurs. I think you only probably want Salah from this. I do think I will have Salah in my draft. I don't think you need to look anywhere else for Liverpool players. And Forest Brentford's a difficult one to decide on. I mean, yes, we could go for Forest players. We could go for Chris Wood. As I mentioned, there is quite a few good other forwards, so I'm not 100% sure on him. You could go Elanga. We know that Brentford's defence isn't the best, especially away from home. You could go Nico Williams. There are some obviously good options from Forest, but I don't think that fixture is as good as the likes of Wolves, Brighton, Newcastle's fixture. In terms of Brentford, the only place I'd look is Mbeumo. I may not go with him, I may go with him. I'm not 100% sure I stand on it at the moment because Forest defence is good, but Mbeumo's just really good. So it's a difficult one. If I went for a Forest defender, if I went for Neco Williams, I wouldn't have Mbeumo in my team. There's no point in, on free hit, there's no point in having defenders versus attackers. Absolutely pointless. In a normal week, I don't mind it. If I can avoid it, I will. But I don't mind it as much. But yeah, I just wouldn't be doing that in a free hit week when you can avoid it. So yeah, I've talked about the players, I've talked about the fixtures. Let's have a look at a free hit draft that I've put together now, and I'll mention some players that have missed out as well. Okay, so this is a draft that I've put together. One thing to note to begin with is you don't need to worry about funds at all. This has got a stupid amount in the bank. I think it was like over 5 million in the bank. So don't be worrying about funds at all. So as I mentioned, Newcastle players, I've got Livramento, I've got Murphy, I've got Isak. Isak is a definite in this team. Ignore the captain and the vice captain on here, by the way. I didn't set that. This was just to look at the team. But Isak will most likely be your captain this week. Then, as I mentioned, you want probably one of Murphy or Barnes. If Gordon, we get really good news about him, then maybe you could go for Gordon, but probably one to be avoided. You won't know how many minutes he'll get. And then Livramento, I think, is just the safest pick. I mean, he's attacking, he will play, so I think he's a good pick. Then, where should we go next? We can go to Salah, we can go to Palmer. Palmer is one that I know a lot of people won't have, and I completely get it. He's been off the boil. Chelsea have been off the boil completely, but I do think I just like him as an option, especially as there isn't really any other premiums that you're going for. Salah is probably just a must, to be honest. I know the fixture isn't incredible, but Tottenham at home is still plenty good enough. Then we can look at the Wolves guys. So I've got triple Wolves in here, but to be honest, the goalkeeper could be Verbruggen or Jose Sarr. It's kind of up to you which fixture you prefer there. Whether you prefer Brighton with West Ham at home or whether you prefer Wolves with Leicester at home. Now what we have, if you've watched any of my videos with George, the player rankings videos, we've kind of dissected it a little bit before, that Wolves are just good when their fixtures are good. They play good against bad teams and they're pretty bad against good teams. So I do think we can somewhat trust this fixture. Like I mentioned, I've got Cunha in there. I've got 8 Nuri. Those two are pretty locked, I'd say. And then Jose Sa, I just think is an okay option, given that there isn't a large amount of other defensive options from Wolves. You could go Semedo, of course. You could go Agbadou if you need to go cheap, but I don't think you do. And then in terms of Brighton, I've got Estepinian in there. I think his minutes are pretty safe, given they haven't got many fit defenders. And I've gone for Welbeck for the reasons I mentioned before. João Pedro will be out, meaning that Welbeck should get good minutes, and also Welbeck is probably on penalties with João Pedro out. So I think that he is a great option this week. One of my kind of favourite picks this week, given that most people who aren't free hitting won't be able to get him. So I think he's a really, really good option. Then you've got Elanga in this team. Now this is a position I'm really not sure on. It could be Cliver. As you can see, I've got Cliver on the bench. It could be Mbeumo if I'm not going to play a Forest defender like Williams, who's sat on the bench there. So Cliver, Elanga, Semenyo, and Mbeumo. There's plenty of options here that you could go for. What you could also do here is, if you really fancied this Newcastle attack, they're scoring a lot of goals at the moment. What you could do is you could go Isak, Murphy and Barnes, the triple up for the forwards. Then obviously that means that you don't have Elanga. Then what you could do is you could go double defence on both Wolves and Brighton. So you could have, for example, Estepinian and Verbruggen. Then you could have 8 Nuri and Semedo, or 8 Nuri and Agbadou. You could go 2 double ups in defence, and you could go triple Newcastle forward. I quite like that option. You are going heavy on 3 teams there though. You've got 9 players from 3 teams. So you've got triple Newcastle, triple Brighton, triple Wolves. I don't mind that though. I do think free hit is the time to really go for stuff like that. I don't really like the idea of hedging your bets on free hit. I mean, you could put like 1 or 2 players in from a load of teams. Like you could have a couple of Bournemouth players. You could have a couple of Forest players. It's up to you which fixtures you prefer. But this is kind of roughly what I'm looking at and what I'll be going for. I'll probably go heavy on a few teams and then a couple of good players like Salah in there. Palmer's not by no means locked in here. But yeah, this is kind of where I'm at. There is some players that have missed out, like Chris Wood misses out here. Chris Wood could quite easily be in a free hit team, but I just really like that front 3 of Isak, Welbeck and Cunha. There's other players that have missed out, like I mentioned, in Mbeumo. The defenders, not so much. There isn't a great deal. You could go for a Chelsea defender, as I mentioned. You could potentially go for a Liverpool defender, but I'm not huge on that. Could go for Kirkes, who's on the bench, or Williams. But yeah, this is roughly what I'm looking at the moment. Things can obviously change between now and the deadline, given that there's some Premier League games before the deadline, midweek. But yeah, if you've got any questions on your team, on this team, on anything FPL related, then drop them in the comments. Thank you very much for watching this video. Drop a like and a subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.